Hey. Welcome everybody to the latest edition of You Get What You Get. I'm Rickey Hampton with my great friends, McDougal and Tim Turner. Hope everybody's having a great evening. We plan to have a great show. We're going to get a visit from our great friend Ray Scott, NBA playing legend and coaching legend, first African American to win the NBA Coach of the Year award. Get Ray's thoughts on the NBA playoffs, which kick off tonight. So we're going to have a lot of NBA talk. And I'm sure everybody in Georgia is excited about the Hawks getting ready to make a run from that 10 seed.
Are we, Tim?
Are they still playing basketball? Is that what's going on? Okay. Yeah, they're ready. They're primed. I think it'll be the Hawks versus the Oklahoma City Thunder for the finals. You heard it here first.
Hey,
and last.
What was it? 2 or 3 years ago they got hot. It just.
Oh yeah, they were in the. Had Trey not gotten run over by DiVincenzo, who purposely injured him, they would have gone to the NBA finals.
Yeah. So
they were on fire.
If I coulda, shoulda, woulda.
Very true on that.
It's the same with Houston that year when Chris Paul got hurt.
Yeah,
they would have beaten Golden State in that series, but Golden State survived and they went on to win the championship.
Hey, availability, best ability is availability. But we're gonna get into our NBA talk. When Ray joins us in a few moments. But first and foremost, how are you two guys doing and how's your week been? Tree?
I'm tired. I went to Atlanta this weekend. And so I just got back yesterday. But I'm hanging in there. I'm good. Got my cup of coffee right here. Otherwise, I'm all good.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it was a quick weekend. I was up there I let the winds die down some, and I went out and hit some balls on Sunday. I figured I could get on the driving range on Sunday with all the real golf people. Glued the TV sets are in Augusta, so
it's a good plan.
Pardon?
That's a good plan.
Yeah.
So Tim, you're making your yearly. You're about to play your yearly round of golf, right?
That's right. In 2 weeks, I have to be excellent. I have to improve my game to be awful right now. I'm at the severe suckage range because I was watching these dudes who looked like they had zero athletic ability, just hitting the ball out of sight, and I couldn't get mine past the tee box.
Hey, you know what? Let me just give you a tip. You're a former baseball player. When you were at the plate of baseball, you didn't think about, okay, I got to hit this fastball. You just hit it. You just reacted, right?
All the time. It was just muscle
memory.
Same
thing with your golf swing. Just get up there and hit it. Don't think about mechanics. Just hit the ball.
Oh,
and wherever it goes, you're going to hit bad shots.
Oh, tell me when I don't do that.
Yeah, you're going to hit bad shots.
I mean, I had a dude telling me about the grip there.
The baseball grip?
Yeah, no, this is whatever this type is.
Interlock.
Interlock. I'm like, no, I can't do that. I got to do this now.
The baseball.
Yeah, and I choke up on all the clubs. All of them.
Nothing wrong with that. And I know you won't take it too serious, so you'll have a good time, man. But do not think about it. Swing away.
Just have fun.
Yeah, swing away. So.
Got that to my body who was not used to hitting over 90 balls over an hour and a half. I'm like, I was just swing after swing. I was like, my back is still on fire.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Now,
were you hitting off the mat?
What's that?
Were you hitting off grass or a mat?
Oh, off grass. Off grass. No, yes, off grass.
Okay, good.
I have enough broken tees that were around there. I could build.
Yeah, to bend down and tee it up. Yeah.
All of that. Then I said, I'm tired of bending down. Let me go over to the putting green.
Cool, Tim. Hey, I'm obviously biased, but it is a great sport, man.
When you're good.
My club's back up and start that after yeah.
Top Golf Tree, next time you come through, when I'm in town, we're gonna do Top Golf.
Okay. That's what he says.
You gotta come to me. You know you got people in Atlanta. Come on down. We need to all go to Top Golf and have some fun.
Come on down or come on up.
Up.
Okay. Up. Not going anywhere down. I'll be in Florida.
That's the only thing. My kids, they will go to Top Golf. I tell them, golf is part of your family. You see this man right here? He's a golf legend. That's your grandfather. They have a golf course named after him. Yeah, Dad, but can we just go to Top Golf? I'm like, okay, whatever.
I haven't been to Top Golf, but
whatever. Hey, we got Ray. You know what? Let's just jump to this, man.
Oh yeah.
Let's bring our great friend on.
There he is.
But man, he was a walking double-double when he played. He was an NBA Coach of the Year, a legend of the game, one of the smartest men I know, and I'm so proud to call him my friend, former Pistons coach and Pistons legend, Ray Scott. Ray, how you doing, brother?
Good evening, everyone. It's so good to be with you this week. Last week, I just looked at you. This week,
progress.
You were there in spirit and behind the camera.
Yeah. That's good.
Right. Hey, we want to touch on a lot of topics with you. Of course, we need to talk about your book before you get out of here, that we all have a copy of. But I want to start there. There it is, right there. Tree has hers right there.
Love that lady.
And for everybody watching, you can go to Amazon and get a copy of it. And you sent and it is a great read. I can just tell you that. But Ray, before we get to the NBA playoffs, I'd like to revisit the women's Final Four last week, the championship game, the play down the stretch, the controversial call and no call. I'm sure if you were on the sidelines, you'd have been saying, hey, she didn't. But if you were coaching on the other side, you say, yeah, that's a block. I mean, it just depends on where you were at the time. But how did you see that?
Well, and I listened to Timmy last week, so I know that we're not going to be aligned on this one as we are the other things. But because, Tim, when you're on that bench and you see so much contact during the course of a game, you adapt to it. Now, particularly women, because a lot of people don't look at it this way, but I look at the women's game as tougher than the men's game.
Mm-hmm.
I think they let them do a lot more physically in the women's game than the men's game. And I think, in my opinion, these coaches that succeed today are the coaches that have adapted to the Pat Summitt style and Gino Auriemma style of coaching these young ladies. They are intensely coached to be physical. The play that I saw, and I know many times, and you've seen this, at the end of the game, within the last 4 minutes, the last thing you're going to see is a questionable call. The officials let them play, quote unquote, the last 5 minutes. So that foul, those things that we say are fouls with respect to screens or dribbles, if they don't change the possession of the ball, they usually let it go. So when I saw that play, I clearly knew that play was not made by a lead official, nor an official that was used to calling big-time games. Because yes, that's a foul. in a big time game, it's the one that you walk away from. Nobody goes, or you can count on your hand the number of times you see a game won by men or women with 5 seconds left to go and they're fouled. You literally have to get slaughtered to get to shoot 2 free throws, win a game. And that was a call I felt. That should not have been a game-winning call. And that's my view or my purview, but from my experience. But I played against the Celtics, man, and other than Bill Russell, I swear they fouled you. They're known to foul you with 10 seconds left in the game. Because Havlicek, Heinsohn, Satch, not Russell so much, because Russell was the clean blocker. He was the cleanup man. But those guys, they're famous for fouling you across the arms and making that ball pop up in the air. The other team that was famous for it, they didn't get a lot of recognition doing it, was the Syracuse Nationals with that little Larry Costello sneaking up. He was always the blindside. He'd love to sneak up beside you and hit you across the wrist and make the ball pop up in the air. So but we got used to that. We knew those two teams, that was going to happen.
I don't agree.
I was waiting for that.
I didn't think
Ray, I was covering a Hawks Pistons game, as a matter of fact, in Atlanta.
Okay.
The Hawks were up by 3 with seconds to go. Wes Matthews jumps out and fouls Zeke on a 3-pointer that he hits with like 2 seconds to go. And he sinks the free throw on a 4-point play. With seconds to go, they called a foul on a 3-point shot.
Was it a playoff game?
No, it's like, January 2nd.
Yeah.
It was a nothing game and a half, in the Omni.
Yeah.
Nothing was going on. Nothing going on except watching them play.
Yeah. No, I can't. I have to agree with you that it happened. It definitely happened. But the majority of the time, and because the officials, and you say, okay, this guy, if it's going to be a bad call made down the stretch, it's going to be this guy. Well, now this woman now, because we have women making these calls. But it's kind of that unwritten rule. You don't call it. You're describing it right there with the call on Wes Matthews. Usually that's a walkaway. But I don't know. I wasn't there for the foul. I wasn't there for the game, and I don't know the official.
Well, one other thing about the NCAA's a list tree, and Tim may have something about last week too. Before we get to the NBA, I mean, you played against all the great centers. Your thoughts about Zach Edey, 2-time College Player of the Year, his NBA? Does he have any kind of future in the NBA?
Yes. 7 feet. Yeah, man, 7'4". Yeah, they're picking him up right now.
Why are you questioning that, Ricky?
Well, I say that because there have been some mock drafts where people say he won't even go in the first round.
Oh, I think he'll go in the first round.
Wow.
I think he will go in the first round.
We're having a bad night, Ray.
I know.
Yeah, wait a minute. He had 37 points now.
Easily could, because the eras that we come from. And your era being later than mine, and I say that because you got the glamour of the game. So your comparative analysis is really at a high level. When you're talking Hakeem, I'm working on a project right now. Just to show you the old man doesn't sit around and dream of picking cotton. But here's
Like most of us.
I'm gonna start using that phrase.
Yeah.
But the deal is when it was hard for me to do, and I've discussed this before with Rick, Wilt, Russ, Kareem, and then it got tough after those three. So now I'm at Moses Malone. What do I do with Moses? What do I do with Shaq? What do I do with Elijah?
I was about to say you're missing somebody there. You're missing somebody there.
Well, I probably am.
Dream is the best.
I'm sorry?
Dream was the best. I spent 5 years in Houston. 2 years I won the title with him.
But my points are arguable because then we can prove them out. And I'll give you why. What I did when I did my critique. When I did my critique, it makes it less arguable if you give me credit for my points. But Elijah Wan, Shaq, Elijah Wan, and so I said to myself, "Where's Willis Reed?" Willis Reed was one of the finest centers ever born, and so Willis Reed. Then I'm looking at the Celtics again because they won more titles. And I'm looking at Dave Cowens. Because Dave Cowens was a couple of time winner. And then I'm looking, this is looking at it through your prism, Timmy, when you said, when you were alarmed about who, you might leave out. And I'm looking at the Joker. That man plays, and if you've coached basketball, you sit there and say, my gosh, that man plays some of the finest basketball ever played.
Yeah, he's a handful.
I think he's the best center, but the best big man in basketball. People try to, Embiid on you and that kind of stuff, but it's like, no, Joker is just pure for passing, shooting, everything. He does everything exceptionally well.
The year he wasn't the MVP, he was the MVP.
Yes.
They got tired of giving it to him.
Yeah. There's a sympathy thing for Embiid.
We know that's kind of a political football. But then I said, I've watched the game since 1950. I was 12 years old and I was really into basketball. And I saw George Mikan. And no one talks of George Mikan, who was one of the creators of pivot play, of post play. He was trained in it by Ray Meyer at DePaul University. I just told someone a couple of weeks ago on a TV show, they said, how do you know George Mikan? I said, I was 12 years old. I was reading comic books. The great white players of my day, they were put in comic books. You don't even think. And so when you're in a comic book, that's like being on television and the girls that won the title with South Carolina won the title, 14 million people watched them. Now, I beg your pardon, 19 million people watched them, 14 million people watched the men. It's what
they overshadowed the men.
They overshadowed the men. But it's what Mikan captivated. 6'10", there's no 16 guys walking around doing that that can play. There's 6'10" guys walking around, but they don't compare to Mikan. And so then I look at, and then I said, now what about Nate, Walt Bellamy, Artis Gilmore, Wesley Unseld?
Yeah.
This is a game, so we can argue till the cows come.
Yeah.
Other than over Wilt, I don't argue. I don't argue because
but Ray, Edie's not going to be a better pro than any of those names you mentioned.
Well, you know.
I don't think. I mean, you never know.
I said, do we know yet?
Yeah,
I don't know.
I would bet that he would not. There's nothing that shows that he has any appreciable skills.
No. He's skillful. You don't play at the level that he played at college and not be skillful. I would argue that. Now he may not be as skillful as.
Right.
That's the operative. but he's going to be good. 7 feet. If he continues to improve from what I've seen in his freshman year, I got him pegged at like a 15-point score.
Maybe the game will catch up with it. Because I'm thinking about that kid Holmgren in Oklahoma City, who I didn't think who I thought was like, he's not going to turn into be much. He's really come on his second year, and I think the kid in San Antonio is going to be great once he puts it eats a little bit more of those churros.
I don't know that the kid with the Spurs, I don't know that he'll be a center. I don't know that he'll be
Wimbiana?
Greatest center.
Yeah. You think he's a forward? A massive forward?
Yes. I think, in fact, I believe he's going to rewrite the book. Remember how Magic rewrote the book?
Yeah.
The book was 6'1", 6'2", squatty to the floor, quick, fast. And we saw Magic Johnson, and we sat there with our mouths open for a full year. And at the end of the year, he won the championship.
Right.
And people were saying, Magic Johnson can't play like that. He's 6'10". He's supposed to be under the basket.
Hey Tim, no offense, but I'm gonna be on Ray's. I'm going with Ray on his predictions.
I'm not offended. I was never coach of the year. I never played.
I'm going with the experience over here.
Look, you've seen a lot of the players. It's like you talk about Mike and the guys back in the day, and I keep thinking about their competition. And I don't want to penalize them for not playing against the best of the best of the best. I think about all those Celtics championships. Russ may have been great, but it's like, okay, who are they playing against? You didn't want to penalize them for not playing. How diluted it is now in the NBA with 30 some odd teams.
Russ played against the greatest centers in the game.
Yeah.
Russell and Wilt, including those two, actually played against the greatest centers. Think about, I just gave you a list. I coached, and I'm very appreciable to Dave Bing and Bob Lanier. They made me coach of the year. Bob Lanier is not on this list. Not even, when I went to the honorables, he couldn't make the list. And my criteria for this list, first of all, when people say, and this is something, because you're going to get into these discussions, they'll say, Tree, Tim, why do y'all pick Wilt Chamberlain to be the greatest center of all time, and you don't pick Kareem? And you say very simply, because do you know the center's job? The center's number one job is to get possessions for our team. He's the tallest guy in the locker room. That's who the coach goes to and says, hey, man, I need you on those boards. I need you to get those rebounds. The number one rebounder in the history of basketball is not Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. It's Wilt Norman Chamberlain. 25,000 rebounds. Bill Russell, second, 24,000 rebounds. Kareem, 17th. Played 20 years. Wilt played 13. Russ played 13. I'm always amazed at someone saying that. And we're like, don't you have to be the best rebounder, get the most balls for our team to win in order to be considered a great player? And so
he is a great player. He is a great player.
He's considered the number one player.
Right, yeah. I mean,
is Wilt your number one center? Is Wilt your number one?
Yes, Wilt's my number one because he's the number one rebounder. And for his time, he was the number one scorer. And for his time, he was tied with Russell as the number one defender. And for his time, he was one of the top passing big men.
Yeah. Who's your number one, Tim?
Pardon?
Who's your number one, Tim?
No, I would think, just because I saw the guy play almost all the time, and I think Akeem Olajuwon was the best center that I'd ever seen because of his footwork, his ability. I saw him abuse Patrick Ewing and Shaq back-to-back years in the NBA Finals. I mean, this guy was a forward playing center. He was outstanding.
I got him down here in categories, Timmy. Like I got Kareem is, where is he? The best post moves I've ever seen a center trained in was Hakeem Olajuwon
The dream. Yeah.
and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Yeah.
They had the best footwork. They were almost ballet dancers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Kareem especially. I mean, he was.
But see, that is my thing. When you watch some of these shows and guys are just yelling and screaming, all these guys are great.
yeah.
These guys, give me Michael Jordan, give me LeBron James, give me Olajuwon.
Well, you hit entertainment. See, when you hit Mike, and you hit Mike, and you hit LeBron, and you hit Kobe, that became in the NBA and that was what's that man, David Stern. It was brilliant because we were coming out of the era of the Wilt, the Russells, the Kareems, the Moses, the Shaq. We were coming out of that era. What did we have? There were no more 7-footers coming. They brought kids in from Europe that could play, but they didn't represent the Russells, the Kareems, and those guys. So, in my opinion, the guys that rescued basketball and had the NBA set a record this year are those 6'7" to 6'9", 10-inch guys that play out on the wing. And I haven't even gotten to that list.
Yeah, because you mentioned the guy in the middle there. It's like Kobe to me is on par with Jordan and LeBron, and for some reason I think that he's even a better guy, irrespective of titles won. It's just about how he played the game and his will and his determination. I'm not thinking.
Wait, dang on.
Yeah.
Timmy, because Kobe, I mean, he's a Philly kid.
Hmm.
And so he's one of those kids. I always felt with Kobe, and I did as a player and a coach and stuff, I never got the enjoyment from watching him play that I get from watching LeBron play, Magic play. Who else did we speak of? Michael. I think, and I've saw them make comparisons, and I was like, man, Michael Jordan. I was down in Indiana. I coached at Indiana State, and I saw this 6'10" red-haired white kid. I never saw nothing like him in my life. Larry Bird.
That's right. You coached against Larry Bird.
I coached against Larry Bird. I never saw anything like him in my life. So where'd y'all get this from? See, he had he didn't see people when they say the brother game. I recognize it immediately. What you're talking about when people talk about, well, he plays like a brother. No, he plays athletically because that's how we trained ourselves. We trained ourselves athletically because we didn't have coaches in schoolyards. Yeah. We had schoolyards in schoolyards. So we had to, as 10, 12, 13-year-old kids, we had to go to the schoolyard and learn how to play on our own. So we became athletic. We became guys that could make decisions. We became guys like Earl Monroe that could come up with a shot in a given moment. That's Dick Barnett. Guys like, they used to talk about Dick Barnett and say, man, this guy's down there in Tennessee.
Yeah.
And nobody can believe what he does.
Yeah. Fall back, baby.
Yeah, and his famous thing wasn't coming through the YMCA or coming through some boys club. His famous thing was the Dust Bowl. He played outdoors, and these guys, it's incredible. So I said, "Oh, you talk about when I saw Bird, what I saw in Larry. I said, Larry Bird, go to schoolyard and play this game, and they won't be able to do nothing with him." And they didn't. He came to the NBA, they couldn't do a thing with him. Couldn't do a thing with him. So it's like I give you credit, Timmy, because you have a knowledge of the game to where you can debate and say, well, I like a team. I like, and it makes perfect sense. I just go further back than you. I saw Paul Harrison. I saw Dolph Hayes. I saw Willie Nelson and had to bump up against him. And Elgin Baylor, we don't even talk about Elgin Baylor. Elgin Baylor is one of the greatest basketball players that ever breathed down there in Washington, D.C.
That is so true, man. This is a great history lesson here with Ray Scott, NBA coach and legend and author of the book, The NBA in Black and White, the memoir of a trailblazing NBA coach, player and coach. Ray, that's some great stuff. And you mentioned Larry Bird. We were talking earlier about Caitlin Clark, who went number one in the WNBA draft. And we were also looking at her salary. And not only that, I don't know if you guys have heard this, but I've heard some people say, well, the only reason she went number one because she's white. I'm like,
she's good.
Girl can play.
Well, there's no disputing that she's white, but that wasn't the right. There was no reason.
Yeah, you are right about that. She's white.
You're right.
But she can flat out play. And
the shoot, she's outstanding.
That parallel with Larry Bird, and we were talking about the salary she's going to sign. She's going to make $76,000 her first year. Over 4 years, her salary is going to be $338,000. Now she's going to make a ton of money off the floor. But I was reading the story, and this professor in marketing says, well, yeah, the salaries don't match what we're seeing now in viewership because it's lagging behind because Caitlin just came on the scene. But Ray, as a former player, the NBA TV deal is for $24 billion. And they're renegotiating within the next year, and it's expected to be $60 billion, between $60 to $72 billion. Your thoughts on the impact of Caitlin Clark and how your game has grown on the men's side, and do you see any potential for that for the WNBA now that some of these young stars are entering the league?
Well, the WNBA, if someone said the other day, I was reading it, because I'm a Dawn Staley girl. Dawn's from North Philly. I'm from South Philly. So she's like the queen of Philadelphia right now. You know, if Dawn Staley went to Philadelphia right now, her feet would never touch the ground because we'd be tired. She's phenomenal. And if you listen to her, you listen to how phenomenal her mind is. So when Dawn Staley took time in her remarks to point out Caitlin and say, you have done so much for our game, I knew exactly where she was coming from. You knew where she was coming from. She just said the same thing about Caitlin that I said about Larry Bird. Yeah. That's the difference that Caitlin brings to the game is athleticism, superior athleticism. I don't know who taught her to play, but she plays like a sister.
I was listening to her interviews. I think she said that she grew up with two brothers, and so she was very competitive for her older brother. So she was, and then I guess wanted to stand out a little bit amongst the boys.
Yeah. Well, she's a tomboy. We can acknowledge that, but what we have to acknowledge in these athletes before we play the BMW game, the black and white game, we have to learn to acknowledge all of this. Mm-hmm. And I think this is a step we have to do. We have to acknowledge people in their humanity.
So, can you repeat that, Ray?
I think we have to acknowledge these athletes in their humanity. Yeah. These athletes are not parroting and coming from segregated stuff and playing just by themselves. They are incorporated into this thing we call professional basketball. I'm proud of the NBA. I just talked to Jennifer and I. You know who our hero was? Our hero was Carolyn Pett, the first African American woman to win a title.
Yep.
And we watch her stand on that sideline by herself and win a championship.
Yeah.
You know, and we were crazy about Pat Summitt. Why? Because Pat Summitt is in you got a kid that can play. Pat Summitt's going to be in your backyard trying to recruit that kid. I don't want to lose that. I want us that. Those are gains that we've made. Those are walls that we've knocked down. You know, and I don't want Caitlin to be in a position where, oh, well, you know, we're going to argue about this. And they tried to do it a little bit with Larry Bird, but he was so damn good that stopped that conversation.
Yeah.
You know, when he blew up Dominique down there in Atlanta, he played. Think about somebody being as regally athletic as Dominique Wilkins, that you could play evenly with him. Where did that?
Yeah.
You know,
Well, I'll never forget that game. I think Dominique had 57 or something.
Yes.
Was that?
It was 1988. They was in the playoffs when it was Bird and Nick going back and forth.
Yes. I don't want to lose that. I know you don't, Jimmy. And I know you don't. Those are things those are games. Those are us showing who we are. And that's why I said I was so proud of Dawn pulling Caitlin into our conversation by thanking her for what she's done. But, you know, that little girl's she's a wonder kid. She did it on a major level, and she's in the Big Ten, so I got to see her on a Big Ten level. You did too, right?
Yeah. Dawn went beyond that when she said that she wanted to make it clear that Caitlin is one of the GOATs of women's basketball.
Yes.
Not the GOAT, but one of the GOATs.
Yeah.
And that's nothing wrong with that. She wanted to let you know, you have your place in history, but you know there are other people who came before you, and that was that thing.
I don't think that's a lesson that has to be taught, do you?
No.
Yeah.
Well, people come up there thinking that the records that she broke, people want to ignore the AIW with the AIAW, whatever the women's league was before they were allowed to be in the NCAA.
Yeah.
And they with no 3-point shots back in those days. Everything was, twos, just like with Maravich, everything was with twos and free throws. But she's going to do wonders for the WNBA. I saw where they play a 40-game season. 36 of Indiana's games are going to be on television, either nationally or streamed somewhere.
Right. National. Right.
Yeah. When also her records that she broke, then she played longer than those previous players, so that added to that. Wasn't there some former player said that she didn't really break her record? I forgot who that was. It was kind of recent.
Well, she probably hasn't begun because of those conferences. It's like when I talk about great coaches, and I love Dawn Staley, but I'm not going to forget Vivian Stringer. That's why I'm not going to forget Carolyn Pett, because I enjoyed watching women's basketball. They can play.
Yeah.
That's established. So I think this year proved it out. But when you do LSU with Kim Mulkey and her problems and whatever she has to deal with, she still brings these kids along. And those kids, going back to they get contracts. They make a lot of money. And so they have a success, they have a platform, and I love their humanity. And I think it's just forward.
This is just a wonderful conversation, Ray. I mean, you are a historian. You are part of a basketball history. It is an honor and pleasure to have you on and visit with you. But I do want to get your thoughts on the NBA playoffs, which kicked off tonight. The first game is going on right now, playing game. The Lakers are up. Last time I checked, they were up 10 in the fourth quarter. against the Pelicans. They're the number 7 seed, the number 8 seed.
Yeah.
Let's start in the Western Conference. Oklahoma City finished with the number 1 seed at 57-25. Defending champion Denver 57-25. Oklahoma City had a tiebreaker. Uh, who do you like in the West? And can Denver repeat? And you got the upstart Timberwolves, and you got these old dogs like the Lakers and Golden State sitting down there at 8 and 10,
Yeah.
both in the play-in, but both could be dangerous teams if they find a way to get out of there.
Right. Well, my wish will always be Golden State. I'm just a Curry guy. I'm sorry. I have to apologize. But Golden State is my wish because I just like to watch them play basketball. I think they make the game beautiful. I think they make it fan friendly. And other than Draymond, they pretty much have a pristine attitude about the way they play the game. And I love Draymond. Don't get me wrong. But that's my team that I want to upset. The two teams that have fallen out that I picked from last year was the Grizzlies and Sacramento. And I thought that they would be the guys. I didn't see Oklahoma City coming. But when I think about just taking that good old butt whipping you have to take in the playoffs, I still think about Denver. If you want to just get a good old butt whipping and get a lesson, you're going to go up there with those kids, that front court they got, and if Murray plays, and they're just very good. And they have become very orchestral. They're kind of a group that plays together, and the big guy keeps it together. I think in the West it's still there. I think when we get to the East, we'll discuss that. But I think in the West, that's what I see.
What you mean, Denver? Still Denver?
I still see Denver.
Denver in the West, and we got Boston in the East.
Well, we haven't talked about that, but I'm not, since you asked the question, I'm real iffy on Boston. I like the I like the kid that they got rid of. I really thought he was a cornerstone.
Marcus Smart?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I know they've done. I still don't like that. I don't know what reasons they made it for, if they didn't want to pay him or whatever. But the chemistry that they had, I saw them coming into it this year. I think that, in my opinion, that if they're going to get hurt, that's where they're going to get hurt. But, we got a guy like Jimmy Butler down there. He decides he's not going to miss. And nobody's going to stop him.
Playoff Jimmy.
That happens too. I never saw Jimmy Butler coming.
Yeah. Playoff Jimmy. Well, that could be the first. That could actually be their matchup.
Yes.
Coming out, we'll see after this play. The Hawks have the Bulls tomorrow, and the Heat have the Sixers.
Yeah.
So Embiid is back. He was having an MVP year, Tim, before he went down. Because when he got injured, before he was injured, Philly was the number 2 seed. They went all the way down to 7 or 8 at one point, and finally got it together. Then they got him back. I mean, that's a strong number 8 seed if they get in.
Yeah. No, I think that the fallout for the Sixers is Maxi's very good. So I'll say they got 2 guys. But after that, I'm afraid of a fall off. I'm afraid I don't think they have that third guy. And the other team we got to watch a little bit, not a lot, but a little bit, is the Knicks.
Number 2 seed.
Yeah, you got to watch them.
But just a little bit.
Not I wouldn't say they're the favorite, but I would say that they are New York, and New York just, oh my gosh, they go bananas if they get a winner. They, but comparing them to Willis and Clyde and Earl and Bradley and DeBusschere, that's the last time they had championship teams. They were very powerful. This team is not very powerful, but they can play.
And Thibodeau, he's a hard-nosed coach. They guard you too, man.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they're gonna guard.
And right, when you get in the playoffs, you coach in those series, you can really lock in on what a team does, opposed to, okay, we playing the Knicks tonight, but we got the 76ers down the road tomorrow night. So the scouting report is probably this then is probably a lot thicker. Now you can really go in depth on a team.
Yes. Yeah, we used to do booklets for the playoffs. We did pages for the season because it's so repetitive. And what you're trying to do during the course of the season is make sure you can run your stuff. Because what coaches are notorious thieves. So it always looks like they always have to give you the idea that we're really doing something. But what we were doing stuff that we had robbed from the Atlanta Hawks.
Good luck with that. No.
All right, go ahead.
But Ray, you talk about those teams in the playoffs in the East, and do you think Milwaukee is in trouble? It seems, because I listened to a stat the other day. They fired their first coach, and Doc Rivers has won two games less than the dude he replaced. They pretty much have been treading water all year. What do you think of the Bucks?
I think I don't like what I'm hearing. I'm hearing that the big kid, Giannis, is hurt. They can't win without him. He comprises too much ball time. He's not like if Middleton is out, he's a finisher. They pass him the ball to shoot and finish. But as you know, with Giannis has the ball from initial possession, until the ball is shot. So I think they're too damaged. But if Giannis is 100%, I think the showdown would be Milwaukee and Philadelphia. It could be.
Milwaukee, Philadelphia. You just totally dismissed Boston. Milwaukee and Philadelphia.
I'm just.
It's a lot of people that say that about Boston, man.
I don't. They're good. I mean, they're talented. They're going to be Hall of Famers. There's just something in Boston, and I know you've seen it.
Well, I get it because I watched them in 1 week lose games twice to the Hawks.
Yes. Okay.
How does that happen?
That's not good.
I was like, how does that happen?
Yes. And one of them
the
was
Hawks can be dangerous, though, Tim.
What's that?
I mean, you got a guy like Trey. They can be explosive. The Hawks. But right, Boston should not even lose twice with them in a week. To your point.
Yeah, twice in 3 days they lost to them. The first go around when the Hawks blew them out, you said, okay, Celtics aren't going to take that next time around. Then they lose an OT the second time. So
maybe they were sleepy.
Yeah, you can't spend 3 days in Atlanta without getting in trouble. So I'm thinking maybe that's what's up. But
hanging out at the Magic City.
Magic City, going to get the lemon pepper wings over there.
One day for some.
Are they
of them.
good, Tim?
I don't know that. I've heard that. Lou was the guy we had as our sixth man. Who he was known for missing games, going over to get lemon pepper wings over there. So
Who was that?
Lou, I can't think of his name. He was a
Lou
sixth man.
Williams.
Lou Williams.
Lou.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he was deadly.
Yeah, that's what they call him, lemon pepper Lou. Anytime he hit those threes.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Right. When you played, you guys were young men with. You guys made a lot of money for your time, all relative.
Right.
And, did the nightlife get to some guys?
Well, you didn't read my book.
I think on page number
Yes.
page 23,
I read
he was talking
twice.
about hanging out at a club, I
This is
believe.
for our viewers.
I named the cities that were difficult in terms of socialization because you know with that exposure at 22 to Miles Davis and the Jazz Messengers and Dakota Staten. I mean, all this stuff is going on in the early '60s, and these are magnificent people that you having exposure to.
So
Brooke had his own club.
Yes, correct. Yeah. But
Tim's favorite, Henny Youngman.
Yes. Take my wife, please.
Please. Yeah. And then the other guy was Dangerfield.
Dangerfield. Oh my God.
When I played for the Squires in Virginia, on the weekends, when we had weekends off, I would fly up to New York to go to a play. I would fly to go see the latest movies that came out because they're right there, Times Square, just as you, and the latest movies and the latest clubs. Now with the Dangerfield, I went uptown to
Harlem.
What is it? What'd you say?
I said Harlem. I was thinking.
Yeah, but it's the Red Rooster and Jocks.
Okay.
And then, see, Wilt had the third club, but Wilt had the show club. But what we're talking about is the social club.
He's got some stories. Other stories that aren't in the book.
That's the laugh of the stories that are not published.
Yeah, I was gonna say, there's some other stories here, sir.
But it was so. I mean, New York was just like unbelievable. Then you add in San Francisco, which was a magnificent city. LA was another one of those cities. I'm like LA because it's like the Celtics. They win by acclaim, but it doesn't grab them. You know, in LA, I mean, it's a beautiful city and people go there and enjoy themselves, but it was nothing like
San Francisco or New York or places like that.
So, yeah. Atlanta's in the groove. Atlanta was there easily because Atlanta was there before they were there. It was a great.
You got a visiting team's mindset because what I understand, Atlanta can't get free agents because people want to visit Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
And all the accoutrements that brings when you're a visitor,
right?
And you cannot live there.
Oh.
And bring your family along with you for the accoutrements.
Okay. Well, but you know what I discovered again in my last 2 years was Miami. You know, I fell in love with Miami, multi
ethnicities,
multi language. They speak 3-4 languages in the main street. And the music and the food and the water. I mean, so they did do that on the I think on the East Coast. They offset Syracuse and Boston by bringing the South into the Southern culture. I'm disappointed that they don't have a team in Virginia because that's another that area of Tidewater, that
Tidewater area, yes,
that
sir.
Tidewater area, with Hampton and what's other was it
Virginia Beach.
Newport News, Hampton,
Mhm.
Norfolk.
Norfolk State, yeah, Norfolk.
yeah, Norfolk. I mean, it's a beautiful area, and I don't think they'd have problems getting players to go there at all.
Yeah, that is just a spectacular part of the country. Hey, we just got a couple of minutes left. The NBA in black and white, the memoir of a trailblazing NBA player and coach. Right, the book has done well. Were you surprised by how well it's been
I, I,
received? I mean,
I am, because the book is not intended to be a thriller. It was really to be a narrative of a league viewed by me and looking at
Mm.
the world that we grew up in, that the four of us have grown up in. It's just been unbelievable. And if you guys sat down and just compiled your thoughts in that way and said, had this seat that I've been in, and I would like to just share with people what the world looked like to me. And that was like a big thing to me when I talked about Dr. King and Medgar Evers
Mhm.
and the Kennedys and so forth in the 60s, because that was literally a world in America that exploded
Mm.
with respect to art, with respect to music, with respect to politics. Everything was explosive. And we had that at our fingertips. And I didn't want to miss that. It's different when you're sitting there and you don't have the money in your pocket to buy a hamburger.
Hmm.
Then now you're in a league, you're in a business where you do have the money in your pocket to do so. That's a much different view of the world.
Mm.
yeah. Imagine these kids now that go from nothing in their pockets to multi million. But right,
Yeah.
they can thank all the guys like you to help build this league that
Well, thank you.
it's
I
worth
really appreciate it.
60 to $72 billion now.
Yeah. It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Hey,
You know,
we're gonna have to get out of here. Anything quickly, Tree or Tim for Ray?
Oh, I just want to thank you for the book.
no,
Um,
and
Yes,
thank you.
Autographed. I
Thank,
love it.
thank you. Thank you.
and that book is available just about anywhere you can buy books.
Right.
I got mine on
They say,
Amazon.
they say you can go into your bookstore now and order.
Ooh.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, you can order from your local bookstore.
Hey, Ray, thank you so much for spending some time with. I mean, we just had a history lesson tonight,
Oh,
talking with
it's
you.
enjoyable.
Uh,
It's at 85, it's enjoyable to share it with you. At 85, it's enjoyable to share anything with you.
Hopefully I'll get there.
at 85 and going strong.
I
Well,
know.
Ray Scott, thank you, Ray.
Thank
My
you.
great friends, Tree, McDougal, Tim Turner, and Rick Hampton. Peace, everybody.
All
See
right.
you
Be
next
kind,
time.
everybody. All right. Be kind.
Peace.